ABG, Arterial Blood Gas Analysis Made Easy. This presentation is dedicated to my teachers and is brought to you by Anoop Research and Multimedia. There are so many blood tests that you will learn about. The blood gas analysis will remain one of the most important critical tests that you should learn to interpret it right and learn to interpret it fast. Why is so? The reason is that in most cases or in many cases, when you will be asked to interpret a blood gas test report, the patient will be critically ill, and reading the test correctly, making the right diagnosis and instituting the right treatment will help save a patient's life. On the other hand, if you interpret the ABG or the arterial blood gas test report wrong, you will institute a wrong therapy or treatment, and that can really kill a patient. There have been examples after examples of patients who died or whose death could be prevented if the ABG test was interpreted right. We will talk about those examples during various presentations. Now, this is level 1 of discussion of ABGs or the blood gas analysis. This is called the essentials of ABG. There are 2 more levels of presentations. The second one is called details of the ABG, and the third one is advanced level ABGs. Now, where is ABG test done? As we discussed, it is done on most patients that are critically ill. So it is done in emergency rooms, intensive care units, post-surgical intensive care units, cardiac care units, pulmonary care units. So all those places where we are looking for some help diagnosing and treating the patient right and the patient is critically ill, the blood gas test report in many such cases may be helpful to us if interpreted it right. Now, one thing I will tell you at the beginning, many a times there is a doubt if the blood that we have sent for the ABG test came from the artery or the vein. The best proof that the blood came from an artery and not a vein that I have seen is that the blood should flow freely and the blood should push the plunger of the syringe because of the force that is present in the arterial blood. The arteries have blood pressure, so once you puncture an artery, the pressure should be enough to push the plunger on its own, and you should never pull the plunger. If you pull the plunger, you will not be sure if the blood gas that is done is on arterial blood or venous blood. In some cases where there is a cardiopulmonary arrest or severe hypotension, this may be little difficult, but in most other cases this remains the gold standard that the blood has come from the artery and not from the vein. Now, a blood gas report looks like this. There is pH, there is PaCO2, the PaO2, the HCO3, the Be, and the SaO2. Do not be intimidated by these terms because we will discuss all of them in detail, and by the end of this presentation and reading the book that accompanies this presentation, you will understand all these terms and you will be very comfortable with all these terms. Now, a word about the blood gas report. Still, in most institutions, the blood gas test report comes without patient identification. Now, this thing is slightly improving after the computers have come in use in various hospitals, but still In many hospitals, the report does not have the patient details. Make it a habit to write the patient details the moment the report finishes printing on the ABG test machine. This is a condition, this is a situation where many a times accidents happen because the wrong blood gas test report is ascribed to a patient and the treatment is instituted, especially in units like ICU where 10-15 blood gas test reports come to the floor every morning. So be careful with the identification and correlation with the patient of a given blood test report. Now, the blood gas test report tells us about one, the oxygenation status, that you should look immediately the moment you get the report, because hypoxia from any reason, if severe enough, can cause permanent brain damage and cardiac damage even within a few minutes. The second part of the blood gas test report tells us about the acid-base disorder. So it tells whether there is acidosis or alkalosis or there is a mixed disorder. The PaCO2, in addition to telling us about the acid-base disorder, also tells us about the ventilation status, because the PaCO2 levels depend on the ventilation by the patient. Now let's talk briefly about oxygenation status. When you read more about oxygenation status, you will come across many terms like PB, PO2, PiO2, FiO2, P capital AO2, P small AO2, PVO2, SaO2, SVO2, SPO2, CO2. There's nothing to be afraid of. These terms are very simple and we will, as I said earlier, discuss them in details. But just to give an example, O2 means oxygen, small I means inspired, capital A means alveolar, small a means arterial, P means partial pressure. So let's look at these parameters and we will discuss them one by one in detail. PB means barometric pressure, PO2 means partial pressure of oxygen. In the environment, the oxygen is 21% or 0.21. If we consider the total pressure as 1, the oxygen is 0.21 of that 1, and we will talk about it when we talk about P small a O2 or arterial oxygen partial pressure, that is PaO2. Now PiO2 is partial pressure of oxygen in inspired air. FiO2 is the fraction of oxygen in the inspired air, and since it is a fraction, it is spoken as out of 1. So it is not a percentage. Please remember that, because many a times mistakes are made and then you can't reach the right diagnosis. So as we discussed just now, that oxygen constitute 21% of the air that we breathe in. So the FiO2 will be 0.21. Out of 1, 21% is 0.21. Then PaO2 is the partial pressure of oxygen in alveolar air. Theoretically, it should be the same as that of P small iO2, the partial pressure of oxygen in inspired air, but because there is dead space ventilation, because there is partial pressure from CO2 in the alveoli, so P capital AO2 is slightly lesser than P small iO2. But we don't use both these terms a lot. We don't use them. So don't worry, just understand them. The next term is P small AO2, and this will be one of the most important parameters that you will observe for oxygenation of the patient, and this indicates partial pressure of oxygen in the arterial blood. Normally it is approximately 100, its value is approximately 100, and we will talk as to what is the maximum possible value and what are the lower values, and at what level you should start worrying, and at what level you institute an immediate correction for hypoxia. Then PVO2 is partial pressure of oxygen in the venous blood. SaO2 is saturation of hemoglobin. Note this one, saturation of hemoglobin by oxygen in the arterial blood. All the P's, the partial pressures, are in plasma, and the S, that is saturation, is reference to hemoglobin. SVO2 is saturation of hemoglobin in the venous blood. SpO2 is the saturation of hemoglobin in peripheral or capillary blood, and the last term CaO2 is total content of oxygen in the whole blood. That is how much is the total oxygen present in blood by volume. Now, the saturation on the blood gas test report is a calculated value, calculated from PaO2. So if you have taken care of PaO2 while interpreting the blood gas report, you have taken care of SaO2. So it is an indirect value on the blood gas test report. However, to measure the SaO2 directly, you use pulse oximeter. There is a separate presentation on pulse oximeter, but suffice it to say here that pulse oximeter has an emitter probe, a receiver probe, and the emitter probe throws some types of lights which pass through our finger or the patient's finger, and then they are received by the receiver probe. Based on how much oxy and carboxy hemoglobin is present, different amounts of these lights are received by the receiver probe. This data goes into a computer, and the computer then spells out what is the saturation of hemoglobin, and we will be discussing this in detail in the presentation on pulse oximeters. So pulse oximetry gives a direct reading of SaO2. The ABG report has indirect reading of SaO2. There are always questions about pulse oximeters, what to do if the patient has nail polish, what to do if there is peripheral circulatory failure, what happens if there is patient has tricuspid regurgitation, severe tricuspid regurgitation, congestive heart failure, and we will discuss all those issues when we discuss pulse oximeters in detail.